Between the hours of 0:31 and 4:22, on the night of April 3, 2022, an unprecedented coordinated automobile theft occurred across multiple precincts in Los Angeles, California. A total of 278 high-value vehicles, including models from Ferrari, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Porsche, and McLaren, were simultaneously stolen from private residences, secured lots, and high-end dealerships. Initial law enforcement assessments confirmed the absence of forced entry in over 90% of cases. The plan, later codenamed by law enforcement as Operation Veil, was conceived by Goran Petrovic, a 41-year-old Serbian national with a known history in European luxury theft rings. Petrovic entered the United States under a Panamanian passport in 2019 and had resided in Miami before relocating to the West Coast. According to Interpol records, Petrovic served as a logistics strategist in the Adriatic Phantom Ring, 2013 to 2017, which was responsible for art and vehicle thefts across Belgium, Italy, and Switzerland. Petrovic operated with meticulous structure, favoring cyber infiltration over brute force. His crew, later identified as the Quorum, consisted of 14 core operatives, all with technical backgrounds in automotive programming, keyless entry spoofing, and GPS spoofing technology. Their strategy relied on exploiting vulnerabilities in over-the-air software updates in luxury vehicles. Many of the stolen cars had onboard infotainment systems with known firmware exploits unpatched due to owner negligence. In January 2022, Petrovic and the Quorum conducted detailed reconnaissance. Records indicate the use of commercially available drones with thermal imaging to survey residential properties. High-frequency RFID scanners were employed to identify vehicles with remote key fob systems stored near exterior walls. Publicly available metadata from social media posts helped map targets, particularly those where users shared footage of their vehicles, revealing garage configurations, addresses, or key locations. On the night of April 3, 2022, Petrovic's group activated a network of secondary operators, primarily local accomplices in Los Angeles, many unaware of the full operation scope, tasked with entering properties, activating relays, and transferring control of vehicles to central mobile units. These mobile units, disguised as auto transport trucks, were positioned at pre-coordinated extraction points. By 4:22, the last known vehicle, a Bugatti Chiron owned by a film executive, was logged exiting Beverly Hills without police contact. LAPD received the first 911 call regarding a missing vehicle at 5:03, by which time the perpetrators had already crossed into Nevada. The LAPD, CHP, and FBI initiated a joint task force within 48 hours. All major U.S. ports and border crossings were alerted. However, no vehicles had been scanned, impounded, or recovered by April 10. Federal analysts theorized that the operation utilized subterranean storage and either domestic concealment or rapid export via unregistered maritime channels. A dealership camera in Encino captured a single-masked figure plugging a device into a Ferrari SF90's onboard diagnostics port, bypassing its immobilizer in under 70 seconds. Cell tower logs revealed brief surges in packet traffic near 27 separate incident sites, consistent with short-range wireless key emulation bursts. Two abandoned Teslas found 20 miles north of Barstow showed forensic signs of having been used as mobile relay devices, likely hacked and co-opted for signal transmission. By April 5, the case dominated national media. Major publications dubbed the event the Vanishing Fleet. Car owners and insurance agencies faced tens of millions in combined losses. Law enforcement agencies across the U.S. were urged to audit keyless vehicle vulnerabilities. In the days following the heist, the FBI's Vehicle Crimes Division, alongside LAPD's Auto Theft Task Force, began mapping the trajectory of stolen assets. Satellite imagery from April 3 and 4 was reviewed for unusual traffic activity on rural desert routes northeast of Los Angeles. Analysts observed an anomaly. A convoy of 5 large covered trailers diverging from Interstate 15 at 3:57, merging onto unregistered dirt roads leading into the Mojave Basin. Infrared imagery from a commercial satellite provider confirmed stop patterns near an abandoned rail depot outside Baker, California. On-site investigation 3 days later revealed recent tire depressions and hydraulic oil residues typical of car lifts. There was no trace of vehicles. Financial crimes analysts traced electronic patterns linked to the perpetrators. A cluster of burner phones activated within 24 hours of the theft had pinged cell towers near Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, and Lubbock, all in close proximity to small airstrips or defunct freight depots. Authorities suspected a division of the stolen fleet for multidirectional transport. Petrovic remained invisible. Surveillance flagged no air or maritime departure in his name or aliases. Intelligence suggested he may have moved with falsified Guatemalan credentials through a private charter out of Mexico. Meanwhile, the Quorum fragmented. Facial recognition connected one operative, Matia Novak, to surveillance at a San Diego Bitcoin ATM. $140,000 in digital currency had been transferred into a cold wallet subsequently linked to auto-shipping transactions on darknet forums. On April 17, a breakthrough came from Rotterdam, Netherlands. Dutch customs impounded a shipping container bound for the UAE. Listed contents: industrial water pumps. Actual contents: a disassembled McLaren 720S and a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, concealed within modular pump housings. VINs had been filed down, infrared etching revealed original serials. Both matched vehicles reported stolen in Beverly Hills. Interpol issued red notices for 3 suspects. U.S. authorities expanded monitoring of suspected shell companies connected to Balkan laundering networks. Yet the bulk of the 278 vehicles remained unaccounted for. By May 2022, law enforcement across multiple jurisdictions had recovered only 17 of the 278 stolen vehicles. Each was found in various stages of disassembly, engines removed, chassis stripped, identification numbers destroyed. The recoveries were geographically dispersed, one in a warehouse near Phoenix, another behind a freight company in Modesto, a third discovered buried beneath tarp and gravel in northern Arkansas. All bore forensic signatures consistent with the Quorum's handling, lack of fingerprints, use of latex fiber, and cold chain transport evidence, indicative of temperature-controlled smuggling. Despite international alerts, the majority of the vehicles had vanished without customs detection. Homeland Security's Ports Division concluded that at least 40% of the fleet likely exited the U.S. via non-commercial maritime shipments. Investigators discovered altered manifests filed under Panamanian registries, listing machinery parts with combined declared value far below market. These were traced to leased containers departing Long Beach, Oakland, and Houston between April 5 and April 11. In Dubai, a Ferrari 812 Superfast matching one stolen from Sherman Oaks appeared in a social media post by a known luxury vehicle collector. Although the license plate was local, metadata from the image revealed the vehicle had been imported under false credentials using a Dominican customs declaration. U.S. authorities filed an ownership claim, but extradition and asset return procedures stalled in court, buried in paperwork and delays. Back in California, insurance companies were reporting cumulative losses nearing $78 million. Policies were challenged due to negligence claims, homeowners failing to secure fobs, dealers with disabled alarms. Lawsuits emerged. Some owners pursued private investigators, particularly among high-profile victims, including an NBA player and a fashion executive. These private efforts contributed tangential intelligence, GPS ping records, foreign customs leaks, and chatter on encrypted message boards. One of those leads came in June, when a retired customs agent monitoring a darknet marketplace located listing photos for what appeared to be a uniquely customized Pagani Huayra stolen in Malibu. Distinct interior stitching, confirmed by prior insurance appraisals, matched exactly. The seller operated under the pseudonym Blackwheel_22 and offered shipment anywhere but the US or Canada. The FBI tracked associated crypto wallet transactions to a cold storage provider in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Efforts to penetrate the Quorum's digital infrastructure repeatedly failed. Their internal communications were routed through peer-to-peer encrypted servers, some based on modified Tails OS. Law enforcement cyber units deemed the group technically disciplined, socially silent, and forensically cautious. No phones were used twice, no digital addresses lingered. Every operable link dissolved within hours of exposure. By August 2022, the case entered a cold phase. Public interest faded. The recovered vehicles were auctioned for parts. Interpol's most wanted list carried 3 names from the case, but no arrests had occurred. A total of 261 cars remained missing. It was as if the fleet had been swallowed whole by the earth, gone without smoke, noise, or a trace. On the night of October 12, 2022, a California Highway Patrol officer stopped a cargo van for a taillight violation near Fresno. Inside were 3 individuals with forged Venezuelan driver's licenses and 2 duffel bags containing electronic relay devices, RFID amplifiers, and an encrypted laptop. The van's cargo hold carried a partially disassembled Porsche Taycan Turbo S, reported stolen from Pacific Palisades 6 months prior. At first, the suspects refused cooperation. Within 48 hours, ICE flagged one of them, Luis Gomez, as a previously deported Romanian national using a false identity. Forensic analysis of the laptop revealed a cache of low-level communication logs, mostly shipping instructions, coordinates, and crypto transactions. The name Buratino appeared in multiple exchanges. Intelligence analysts linked it to a known alias used by the Quorum's logistics runner, Ivan Buric, last sighted in Croatia in 2020. Buric, a lesser-known operative, had managed several arms and electronics shipments across the Balkans in the past decade. He specialized in secure warehousing. Under pressure, one of the Fresno detainees admitted their shipment was bound for an underground facility near Tijuana, where at least 7 other stolen vehicles were awaiting dismantlement and repackaging. A joint U.S.-Mexican task force executed a search warrant on the property in Baja California. Hidden beneath a legitimate auto repair shop was a hydraulic lift accessing a sub-level bay, heavily soundproofed and lead-lined to obstruct detection. Inside were 4 stolen vehicles, VINs freshly altered, tires removed, interiors stripped, and lithium batteries tagged for individual sale. Surveillance footage dated back 5 months. Buric was not present. Fingerprints recovered from tools in the bay yielded a hit, Madia Novak, the same operative tied to the San Diego Bitcoin ATM. International arrest warrants were updated to include the new location data. Buric's alias was added to Interpol's red list. This marked the first breach in the Quorum's operational veil, a logistical error that left behind hard evidence, digital logs, and partial identities. It proved they were still active, still operating in North America, and for the first time, they had made a mistake. Following the Baja California raid, federal authorities accelerated operations against suspected nodes of the Quorum. One of the critical discoveries during the facility search was a partial manifest, encoded in a proprietary logistics format used by Balkan freight networks. It listed 18 vehicles, all by make and last 6 digits of VIN. Cross-referencing with theft reports from April confirmed 14 had been taken during the Los Angeles heist. A data trace from the laptop seized in Fresno revealed a previously unidentified crypto wallet. Over a 2-month period, it had received more than $4.6 million in staggered transfers. One key transaction linked to a payment for engineering services went to an account in Hungary. Local authorities, acting on FBI intelligence, arrested a man identified as Davor Horvat, a former software engineer for a German automotive supplier. Horvat's role had been integration consultant. He built firmware patches allowing remote access to keyless ignition systems without triggering error logs. Under interrogation, Horvat confessed to designing what he called access bridges, custom scripts tailored for each car brand. These allowed the Quorum to inject temporary command modules through the OBD ports, overriding factory immobilizers. He claimed he never knew the broader plan, but digital forensics found correspondence referencing Goran Petrovic directly. This was the first concrete connection to Petrovic since April. By November 2022, several countries initiated parallel investigations. In Montenegro, an inactive shipping hub was raided, revealing 7 container chassis with concealed compartments. No vehicles were recovered, but residue analysis indicated prolonged storage of automotive batteries and engine oil traces consistent with high-performance engines. In the U.S., a customs alert flagged a suspicious maritime cargo shipment at the port of Newark. Paperwork listed agricultural equipment parts. Upon inspection, agents uncovered 2 Aston Martins and 1 Lamborghini Urus concealed within refabricated tractor bodies. The serial grinding and lead shielding techniques matched those seen in Baja. A shipping broker in Atlanta, listed on the manifest, was taken into custody. He provided names of 3 intermediaries, 2 traced to Serbia, 1 to Dubai. Concurrently, Homeland Security tracked a freight forwarding firm in Miami laundering payments through Caribbean offshore banks. Surveillance and wiretaps revealed repeated references to V, presumed to mean Vex, Petrovic's known alias. Though Petrovic's precise location remained unknown, the network was beginning to fracture. Frightened associates reduced contact, burner phones were retired early, and 2 suspects fled their known residences, abandoning documentation and cash. The pressure was working. Authorities were closing in from multiple angles: financial, logistical, digital. What had been a phantom operation was now bleeding traces. An empire built on seamless execution had begun to suffer from the simplest of failures: human error. On January 8, 2023, acting on a sealed warrant, U.S. Marshals and Interpol agents coordinated with Serbian law enforcement to raid a secure residential compound outside Novi Sad. The tip came from a cooperative witness, an electronics courier arrested in Belgrade with modified GPS modules intended for overseas shipment. He admitted he had delivered such equipment to a man referred to only as Goran. Surveillance had placed Petrovic at the property twice in late December, using a silver Skoda with false Croatian plates. The compound, shielded by an armored gate and multiple surveillance layers, had 3 subterranean levels. Inside, agents located digital storage drives, forged customs documents, and $780,000 in mixed currency. Petrovic was not there. 2 days later, he was intercepted at the Nikola Tesla Airport in Belgrade, attempting to board a private flight bound for Tbilisi under a falsified Azerbaijani identity. He was carrying biometric documents, encrypted drives, and a wristwatch containing a concealed data key. His arrest was confirmed at 3:14 local time. Petrovic refused extradition, triggering a diplomatic standoff. After 37 days of legal delays, Serbia approved temporary transfer under a bilateral judicial cooperation agreement. He was flown to Washington, D.C. aboard a federal aircraft under armed escort. Upon arrival, Petrovic was charged with multiple federal offenses: interstate transportation of stolen vehicles, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, cyber intrusion of automotive systems, money laundering, and identity fraud. Additional charges from California and New York awaited confirmation. He declined to cooperate and entered a plea of not guilty. Meanwhile, 2 Quorum members, Matija Novak and Ivan Buric, were captured in separate operations. Novak in Slovakia after a routine traffic stop revealed concealed USB drives, Buric in Guatemala City, where he had attempted to bribe local authorities under another false identity. By March 2023, 10 of the original 14 Quorum operatives were in custody. Petrovic remained silent. The vehicles remained largely unrecovered. The trial of Goran, Vex, Petrovic commenced on September 11, 2023, in the United States District Court for the Central District of California. Prosecutors presented a case built on months of international coordination, cyber forensics, witness testimony, and financial tracking. Evidence included hard drives recovered in Serbia containing detailed vehicle manifests, crypto transaction histories, and correspondence referencing vehicle VINs stolen on April 3, 2022. Horvat, the firmware specialist arrested in Hungary, testified under immunity. He confirmed that Petrovic had overseen the creation of modular bypass software tailored for at least 6 luxury car manufacturers. The prosecution also introduced recovered documents from the Baja California raid and the Port of Newark container scans, directly tying smuggling routes to known Quorum operations. Petrovic's defense, led by a federally appointed counsel, argued that the case relied heavily on circumstantial connections. They challenged the admissibility of international evidence and questioned the validity of forensic analysis derived from remote data collection. Petrovic, during proceedings, remained largely impassive, declining to testify. No confession was ever offered. On October 19, 2023, after 5 weeks of trial and 14 hours of deliberation, the jury returned unanimous verdicts. Goran Petrovic was found guilty on all counts, 14 federal charges including racketeering, cybercrime conspiracy, transportation of stolen goods, and laundering of proceeds through shell corporations. The sentencing hearing was held on November 3. He received 52 years in federal prison without the possibility of parole. In follow-up proceedings, 7 other Quorum members received sentences ranging from 12 to 30 years, depending on degree of cooperation and role. Matija Novak, acting as an intermediary and payment handler, was sentenced to 26 years. Ivan Buric received 18 years with eligibility for deportation after serving 2/3 of his sentence. Despite the arrests and convictions, law enforcement acknowledged the limitations of their recovery efforts. Of the original 278 stolen vehicles, only 39 were located in any identifiable form. Many were dismantled beyond restoration, others had been laundered through global black markets with forged documentation. Insurance settlements continued into late 2024. Operation Veil ultimately became the largest coordinated car theft in U.S. history, not solely for its scale, but for the sophistication with which it was carried out. The FBI and Interpol revised several procedural frameworks as a result, creating specialized cyber auto theft units focused on wireless intrusion and encrypted smuggling channels. Though the mastermind was imprisoned and the network dismantled, the majority of the fleet remains lost, high-speed ghosts scattered across continents, stripped of identity, reborn under false names. A final ledger for the operation was never recovered. If it exists, Petrovic did not reveal it. He remains incarcerated at ADX Florence, Colorado. No visitors. No statements. No appeals filed. The fleet vanished in one night. The trail took a year to follow. The traces, even now, linger.